Darian. So, like you said, Mario, Darian, Kevin, Orange Coast title, yada, yada, yada. I think let's just start with some basics. Basically, what is an ADU? Obviously, they're becoming much more popular. And in the past, it's granny flats, in-law quarters, that type of thing. It's any type of secondary unit that is not turning the property, is not changing the zoning and turning it into a duplex. Okay. So it's what we used to call 2-on-1s. But what's great about ADUs is the fact that the county identifies, let's say, a property as a 2-on-1 means that the city has approved all the permits and the county is then taxing them for the additional square footage and all that taxation bureaucracy stuff. The advantage of an ADU currently, and we'll talk about the new legislation that makes it even more advantageous, but currently, and the good news about all of the legislation that's actually working to our benefit here is that the housing crisis in California. Okay. And we were having a little pre-conversation. The last number I saw, with all of the people leaving California, we still have about 6,500 to 7,000 people a month coming into the greater Los Angeles area, right? Where we are seeing a little microcosm of people leaving the state. The majority of people leaving the state are coming from Central California, from San Francisco, particularly Northern. So it's kind of, they leave Northern and we get them in Southern California. So housing crisis is real. Obviously the laws are now, we're in a political climate where this is going to be, something we're going to have conversation after conversation about. So let's start with what is an ADU. Basically, it is an affordable type of building where you don't have to pay for additional land. You don't have to deal with the parking density issues. ADUs can. It's not a prerequisite that it be your family, or it's not a prerequisite that they don't pay you. Prior to this new law, and I'll get to that in a minute, ADUs, you had to have it be your primary residence. And so you could only rent out the unit, right? You couldn't rent out the unit and the home portion. That has changed a little, and we'll go into that. And again, these other reasons, extended family being near you, using unused living space, let's say garages, sheds, that type of thing. And so that's kind of been where the definition of ADU has taken us. If you hear the term junior ADU, all that means same rules, it's just 500 square feet or less. So the general rule, well, actually it's not a general rule, it's an absolute rule, is the accessory dwelling unit cannot exceed 50% of the main home square footage. So, and really what they're finding, and I think this is probably, as I look at our marketplace, I think it's pretty accurate. Most of the ADUs are between 750 and 800 square feet, which kind of makes sense because most houses are about 16, 14 to 16. So that makes sense. At any time you guys have questions, let me know, and just put them in the chat or raise your hand or however you want to do that. So the good news was, well, the bad news prior to this law that started January 1st of 2020 was each city was able to make you jump through any hoop they wanted. And a good example of this is Long Beach. The paperwork, the initial paperwork, and they fast-tracked it and they have a really easy system, is about $750 worth of permits and things like that. Okay. Lakewood, on the other hand, is $150, and Signal Hill is $75. So the first thing from a real estate agent perspective is if you have a buyer that is looking potentially for properties for ADUs, look at the costs and break it down by city. If they're just looking to accomplish this, then it might just be as advantageous to go Signal Hill as it would be Long Beach, and they save themselves $700 in county fees. So prior to this law that went into effect January 1st, the cities had autonomous control, bottom line. Some cities were easy to deal with, some were not. Some made you pretty much kind of build an addition with permits and all that good stuff. What happened on January 1st was we created a bill that superseded all of the cities. So now it is the law of the land in the state of California. And I think you probably have that slide, Darian.
Well, no, right here in this, so effective January 1st, the legislature further updated ADU and junior ADUs law to clarify and improve various provisions to promote.
So I'm going to go through those provisions just really quickly.
You didn't send me what Tracy sent you, so I only have Long Beach Homeowners Guide and LA
perfect.
Homeowners
This
Guide.
is great.
Okay.
Okay, so and again, we'll forward this little microcosm to you guys, but just follow along. So bottom line, the cities must approve. This is in the new law, right? And this law is in effect from now until 2025, January 1st of 2025. So you've got a good window here. And I think it might be something when we get to the marketing portion that you might want to look at as far as looking at particular properties that have this much square footage compared to this much house, right? And things like that, because you kind of have this golden window. So the cities, this is state. The city must approve your ADU application within 60 days. If they don't, you just go ahead and do it. They have no say. Done. Long Beach, being a big city, has a really effective system. But I can tell you, the smaller the city, probably the more complicated. So the good news for somebody who's trying to do this, you only got to deal with City Hall for 60 days, one way or another. Either they're going to perform or they're not. And on the 61st day, you do what you want and the state supersedes. For ADUs permitted by 2025, cities cannot require the owner to live at the property. This is a huge one, okay? Now, so prior to this law, and trust me, the day after, you are going to have to live there, which limits your income capacity. You're limited to a 800 square foot unit that you can make money on. In this 4-year window now, we can make money on both. And there's nothing the city or state or county can say. So very good opportunity. Cities cannot charge any impact fees, which I don't want to go into impact fees, but if your ADU is over 750 square feet in the past, the city would literally make you have surveys and parking impact studies, and like the charges just exploded. Okay. So now your little converting the garage where you think you can rent it out for $1,200 a month is now become $10,000 to the city, and you're not even going to break even for the first 7 months you're renting it, right? So these are all good things. Homeowners associations must allow the construction of ADUs. I don't know of any condo situation where there's enough space to do an ADU, but in theory, probably somewhere in Central California, that's a thing. ADUs can be developed at the same time as the primary unit. This is a huge one, guys. If you have, and this is an investor thing too. So marketing is not trying to find somebody that's looking for an ADU. Marketing may be an investor who's unaware of the fact that when they go in and do that flip, they can add a unit during the same time, and everything with the city is expedited. They can do the zoning and permit process. is either non-existent or it is expedited through this window. Investors should love that.
Kevin, I have a question from someone.
Yes.
Do you look up the cost at each city website to know the price and what permits needed? I don't know if you've covered that yet or not, but
I have not, but that, yes, exactly. So in normal cases, you can go right onto any website. This one, I think Long Beach is Long Beach Gov Building and Planning. But in most cases, all of the building and planning departments, and now they're open and they take your calls, will send you over their guidelines. But again, any guideline that is in conflict with the state is overridden. So the great part about that is you're really just calling to find out costs. They're going to have some type of forms and things like that, but you could literally call. I had somebody that called Costa Mesa, Newport, and Huntington, and the costs were like all over the board, right? Just for the paperwork. But it was a really quick call. You just call building and planning, say you have a client that wants to build an ADU, and what are the costs associated with that to the city? And they'll tell you. And then a city may delay code enforcement. This is another huge advantage. We like this one. I call them marauders, which is really kind of, I shouldn't. Every so often, you'll hear about the neighbor that had this unpermitted granny flat behind their house for 20 years. And then suddenly the city shows up and wants to inspect it. Now they have to bring it up to code and yada, yada, yada. Basically, that means you pissed off one of your neighbors and they hate you. And now they're getting the city involved. The good news is city can't do code enforcement until after 2025. If it's already there and you literally use the term ADU, the wolves are called off. So we like that. And then, basically there's some ADUs that are just automatically approved, that you don't even have to, you basically notify the city. You have to do anything. So this is called the no local limits portion of this bill. Cities must permit certain categories of ADUs without applying any local developmental standards, i.e. limits on lot size, unit size, parking, height, setbacks, landscaping, or aesthetics. The city basically must abdicate their normal approval processes if an ADU converted from existing space in the home can be accessed from the exterior. So they're saying that you could take your covered patio and put walls around it. And as long as there's an access door from the backyard, not to the street, no need for that. It's not a separate unit, it's an ADU, then that's automatically approved. And a new detached ADU that's no larger than 800 square feet. So basically keep it under 800 square feet and you got free reign. The city can't really say anything, and these are the things that are subject to automatic approval. So a couple good things. And then
is that
yes.
for any city? That's for any city in the state of California? Or
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's a state mandate. So whatever the city says that might be in violation of that, they really can't enforce it, and they can't really say that. So the city, supersedes, goes federal, state, and then city. Questions. So kind of here's what I would suggest. If you're going to be doing marketing to potential ADUs, first, I think you do, if you have an investor database, I think this is a conversation you should be having with them about the 4-year window where they can add additional ADUs onto the back of the property, not just do the flip and, make it, take the wall out to the kitchen so it's an open concept, all that stuff they normally do. But they can also do basically a second unit at the same time with expedited, if no city involvement, no bringing it up to code. Now, again, a flipper is going to have it done correctly, but the potential for them to and those are the people that it may be better as a flip for them to hold, right? Some flippers, they just want to do their gig and get out of there in 90 days. But we're seeing a whole new generation of investors that want to do the deal and then keep it, right? Because the rental income. So here's a great thing for investors. Instead of just buying a single family, let's try to find one where the lot size is, let's say, 5,000. The home size is 2,000 or less. And then they add an ADU and they keep it until this law changes in 2025. Now they're getting market rents on the house and they're getting market rents on the ADU, which makes it pencil all day long. You know, the biggest issue in Southern California seems to be that depending on when you bought your house, your rent may cover your mortgage, but you're not banking, right? Not like when you move to Washington or Oregon or somewhere. Adding the ADU 800 to $1,000 in the mix a month probably makes it work. So I would suggest that kind of conversation with your investors. And in many cases, it may be more advantageous for them because the bidding war on units right now is rough. I mean, units come on the market, but they don't stay on the market very long. ADUs or properties with potential for them may be a good alternative. And even when the investor's done with the property in 2025 and the new buyer comes in, it might not be a bad thing to let them know that, you know what, the great news is you can get $1,000 for the garage. And that may make their numbers work a little better. So I think, you know, it's kind of, it's a new nuance that investors haven't been thinking about, but I think they should probably be. If you would like, and we do this all day long for Prop 19 and for out-of-state investors and other categories. If you have a neighborhood that you, go ahead, Deborah, sorry.
I just wanted to kind of catch it when you were talking, because he says, do we think there will be a value impact at the end of 4 years on such properties, such as January 2025?
Here is what I'm going to project. Totally, you know, I'm not that guy. It will have everything to do with our political climate in 2025. This is, and I am not being, I am bipartisan, trust me. It tends to be, if the Democrats are still in power in 2025, then housing and housing everyone, I think, will continue to be a priority. But again, this is a state gig, so it really depends on who our governor is going to be, right? And that really is a political question in a weird way. That's my answer. That's the best I can do on that one. Yes. Anyone?
Do you happen to have any numbers on just the rough estimate on the costs? I know it can vary depending on qualities of things, but
I definitely know as far as the building costs.
Yeah.
I do not. You know, that's another variable that even if we had this conversation a year ago, those costs are all different now, right? What's the one thing that everyone's telling me? Lumber, all of the home, you know, remodeling stuff is more expensive. They're blaming it on the supply chain. Okay, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But so I will reach out to a contractor and find out, because I've got a couple of them that are buddies of mine and clients of mine, and ask them what in Long Beach, what an 800 square foot conversion, not built from scratch, but conversion. So we're going to say a garage conversion. Normally it's over a garage costs. And then I'll get that to you, because that's just a call this afternoon after the call. And then I'll be able to disseminate that information out to you.
Thanks.
Questions? Any other questions? So please remember, we can get, I finally found a data source that I believe in and I rely on, and they're wonderful, and they can get cell numbers and email addresses. So if you give me criteria, if you give me, you know a neighborhood that is big lots, small houses, okay? Mario's neighborhood's a good example, over on Michelson and Lakewood, right? Big lots, houses tend to be a little smaller. Actually, your house would be perfect for an ADU, Mario Torres, but if you look at it, but give us a neighborhood and we can get you the phone numbers. We have these marketing pieces that can be wherever you see our logo and our smiling faces, we can swap that out. It becomes your face, your logo. We obviously have all the Keller Williams information, and then we send it to you in a PDF. So if you're making calls and you're like, hey, I just want to find out, are you interested in selling your house? If not, have you thought about the fact that your house would be great ADU potential? And do you know what that is? Done. Let them talk. So this is one of the hangovers, if you will, of COVID, is people are still taking your calls. During COVID, we were so isolated that for the first time, cold calling worked. People actually like talking to you. That has not gone away. So don't be afraid of it. I hate it personally, but I've gotten kind of through it. And having a talking point that the general public isn't really up to speed on, like ADUs or Prop 19 or whatever it is that does affect them, is a great opening. And then just let them talk. Have you thought about putting an ADU? Many people in your neighborhood are. Do you know what that is? Would you like me to send you some information? And there you go. Now you've created a dialogue. So, we don't like to be verbose, but let me know questions. We're here to help you. And whether it's about this or anything else, buyer needs. I'm going to push this because these leads are 6 cents a piece. If you have a buyer that is 10% down and probably is not going to get their offer accepted because of the 10% down thing, give us their parameters. We will give you the phone numbers, dial for dollars. Unbelievable. 6 deals in the last 10 days with people calling and saying, you know what? Hi, this is Kevin from Keller Williams. I have this couple. They just had a baby. They want your neighborhood. In fact, they want your exact house. They've put in a lot of offers and they're not going to get anything. Would you be willing to a one-party show? They're great people. And surprisingly, it works. And then you're controlling the whole transaction on both sides, which doesn't get much better than that. So that's my 2 cents. Give us the parameters. We'll give you the phone numbers. We'll give you the email addresses and see what you can do. Because the buyer situation, according to all the economists, we will not be seeing much of a buyer's power market until October, November at the earliest. So, just find their house for them. That's my advice, unsolicited.
And good advice at that.
Thanks.
It's very good advice. It really is, because sometimes, I used to tell the agents when we'd had the broker preview on Thursdays, the meeting on Thursday mornings out at the club, I would always say to the agents, okay, you need to sit here and listen to the buyer needs, because agents would get up and they would speak about what buyer needs they had. And if you're listening to those buyer needs, go knock that neighborhood, because most of those agents were saying, I need something in Belmont Heights, I need this, Rancho, whatever. They were giving us specifics. So that was an opportunity to get out there, knock on the doors in that neighborhood. And, I see that you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We have agents that are looking for their buyers. Are you thinking of selling? Boom. No, move on.
Exactly. And it really is the truth. The good news is the consumer in the past, when we'd send out these letters, they knew we were fishing for a listing, right? Now the consumer knows we really do have those buyers and they really are ready to go. And there are 30 people for every house. So So
Yeah.
it's not as hard, you're not selling the sale portion of it. You're literally
Right.
disseminating accurate information. So that's
Right,
kind of,
exactly, because, and and that's another thing, when we would door knock, we would go looking for listings. And there are people that'll say that, well, I have buyers looking for homes in your neighborhood. Well, they used that as a line and it wasn't always accurate. In
Right.
today's market, there are agents who have buyers looking for homes in just about every market. So if you are not out there looking for it, you're missing an opportunity, and it can be a mailing. I
Yep.
think we just last week or this week, they announced we can now door knock, correct?
yes.
Did you see that? Yes.
Yes.
So, it was, we could just drop, and now we can knock if you're comfortable knocking. But hey, there's an opportunity.
Well,
Find
here's
out.
the other thing I just learned about bulk mail. Back
Yeah.
in the day, bulk mail, to get the bulk mail rate, you had to have it sequential houses, yada, yada, yada.
Yes.
Now, all you have to do is have more than 200, 201, same zip code, you get bulk rate. So we can
Right.
even do that. We can even do just 3 and 2s, or just whatever unique. We just have to bundle it in 200 or more. So, even mailing is no longer cost prohibitive. So, that's why we're here. We'd love to brainstorm with you. All three of us, we've all been together a long time.
Yeah,
I just wanted to add that during COVID, I really do think it's like, I know that like traditional farms had kind of gone away, but I do really feel like people who had a consistent farm of some sort that they were reaching out to or COVID were the ones that we saw that did the best, that they had established a relationship. So it's important to have some kind of pocket area, like as one of your touches. You should have a couple different sources of business, but it does not hurt to have kind of an established little geographical farm where you become a specialist in that area, because those were the people that you build relationships with. And I think really we saw a lot of those clients that had those more of that traditional standard farming really, really did well during COVID.
Well, and start where you live. I always say, if you like where you live, it's going to be easy for you to sell it to somebody
Right.
else. So don't get weird about where my farm is. Look outside your door. Could I sell this neighborhood? People are going to see me coming in and out every day. So that's kind of good. And people like helping out the neighbor. So if you're searching, start there.
Let me ask you, I get this from a lot of the new licensees just starting out. How do I pick a farm? And you just said one way is to choose where you live, if you like, choose some place that you would like to sell. However, a lot of times they come up and they'll be like, well, I know that so-and-so has been selling in my neighborhood for years, so I don't think I can compete with them. Can you help them in choosing a farm? Are you able to see who gets the most business in a particular location if they give you the boundaries they're looking at?
Well, that's an MLS search. I mean, who sells is an MLS search, so the agent can find that. What we can do is with our website, we have pre-done neighborhoods that show turnover. So you can
Yes.
at least research certain neighborhoods to see where there's higher turnover. And then we can help narrow it down, because you may not want that exact polygon area, but you do want something similar. But there are different ways to get people to start looking. The biggest time is, once again, like Kevin said, is you have to be a good farmer, you have to like the neighborhood you're in, and you have to want to be there and farm it. So sure, I can find a great neighborhood for you to work, but what we find is highest turnover rate are going to be in some of these up and coming neighborhoods, or places where people move into short term to build equity to move out of. High rentals, high volume of rentals. Those are going to be the best areas for turnover, because those are people who are moving in and moving out. They're not set up shop. Everybody wants like the best neighborhood. Well, those best neighborhoods are the ones that people don't leave. They work to get into it, and they put in their roots. So you have to get creative. You have to also be consistent. I mean, because any type of farm requires spending time in it and getting to know it and being a specialist with it. So the neighbors know you, the businesses know you, you become more of a part of the fabric of the area to be a quality geo farmer,
Right.
in that
Right.
aspect.
Very good. Yeah, good point. One thing Leslie, I know, is sitting in the bullpen listening, but she really amazed me when she talked about on one of our lab house classes, she talked about the Cerritos community. She knows that community inside and out. She knows the schools, she lives there. She knows the community. So I just want to encourage these agents, two things. One, know the community inside and out that you want to farm in. Just don't go door knocking and drop something and introduce yourself. Know the community. Secondly, the one thing I commented a little bit ago about who the top agents are, who gets the most business. I don't know if I want to, be in that farm. Don't shy away from it.
Do not.
Everybody in that farm likes that agent, and it's
Well,
it just there's somebody that's going to want to work with you. I guarantee you.
well, and here's a good. I just had this conversation. It's fascinating. We just had this conversation. What I've noticed during and after the vid, people, have you noticed people, if you tell everyone to take a right, they want to take a left, right? People have never been more rebellious about, so let me tell you, that premier farmer is probably in a worse position than they've ever been. Because the assumption is I have to use this person because I live in this neighborhood and I don't want to, just like I don't want to wear a mask and I don't want to have it, right? So there's all this stuff happening, but this is a great time because people are reassessing the sheep mentality, and that gives a new person a lot of advantage, truly.
And also remember, it's called farming for a reason. It takes time. You have to kind of plant the seeds, sow it. Don't get frustrated. Oh, I dropped 2 things, or I door knocked twice and I didn't get anything. Realize that your sphere of influence, these things are going to be your immediates, your open houses. Farming is this is the long game. You have to commit to it and be consistent. But it will pay off in the long run if you do the steps.
And that's absolutely correct. I agree with that. And thanks for sharing that, because people do, they get a little bit frustrated because they start doing it and then nothing happens. And they think, oh, why should I continue? Well, if you're consistent every single month, and it may take you a year to 2 or 3 before you start to see business. I want you to know, I have an agent in my, where I used to be in Studio City. He actually had 2 listings in his first 6 months of being a realtor by door knocking. So it can happen right away. If you're not doing it, it won't happen forever. So you got to get out and do it and be consistent and have a piece of value. And that's where the Kevin Kelly team can come in and helping you with that piece of value as well. They have great marketing pieces, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And have fun with it. Think about having fun with it, and if there's fun things that are in the community, whether it's concerts in the park or farmers markets or whatever, is being involved and enjoying it, because I think that will come naturally. It looks like Robert's raising his hand.
Yes.
If not, no?
Okay.
Or maybe
Nope.
it's my mouse. Oh, maybe that was my mouse and it looked like the hand. I was like, that was my
Okay,
hand.
well, there you go. Any other questions?
And we did not, thank you, Darian, for putting in Kevin's info and yours. Charles was asking if they can reach out to you directly.
100%.
Absolutely, we love that.
That's what they want to
And
hear.
what we'd like to do in most cases is we basically sit down and make sure that our job is to make sure that you never don't have a message. That's our job. We'll come up with the 3 to 6 months where the marketing piece is. We'll figure out the demographic that marketing piece is going to appeal to. And then I say, we take away the excuses. We all have them. Trust me, I have 100 excuses. But once that's done, you know what you're doing for the next 6 months. So there is no excuse not to do it. And then before you know it, you got business, and then you're making money, and then it all turns out. So that's kind of how that goes.
I have another question. I know that
Yes.
you're able to get, if somebody wanted to farm a condo complex, for instance, or a couple of them, you're able to get all that homeowner information for
Yes.
them.
Yes.
And also, guys, don't forget, for absentee homeowners, they may have rentals here or something. That's another marketing direction you can go. But are you able to, I've never asked this question, able to get like apartment complexes, any information on the apartment complexes How can they get that information to market?
We actually do have one source. I don't know how 100% solid it is, because typically for apartments, we get the owner and the apartment, we don't get anything. But we do have a source that can get some of the tenants in there. And I do think it's a good, I do think renters are a good for first-time home buyers. I do think, especially because rents are going up, they're only going to continue to go up. And you know, it's not a bad conversation to have with people and get them in that mindset. So, but yeah, we do have some sources that we can use. It's not our best sources, but by all means, it's not a bad source.
It's something. Yeah, it's free.
And a marketing piece that they could use would be get with your lender and have them show what their current rent might be versus what they could buy in that price range.
And what your programs are. Maybe if your lender has special programs for first-time home buyers, or, you know, help with down payment, because that's typically what the biggest problem is. It's not making your monthly payments. It's coming up with the down payments and the money up front. So that's really getting with your lender and making sure you have that clear, and we can help get the information. So getting out to these apartments as well.
Well, this is an interesting sideline with that, right? So all the renters, we're seeing a huge trend and it only started after February when generational wealth went away. You couldn't transfer properties to your kid without, you know, implications. So now we're seeing the dad or parents pull $500K out of the house that they were going to deed to the kid, give each kid 125 or 250, whatever. Now they've got their down. And now the generational wealth is handled that way, as opposed to deeding them a house. So I think that's going to continue because getting in the game, you know, just so you know, in Los Angeles County during COVID, every homeowner, and this is based on the average sales price in Los Angeles, it's about $728, I think, right now. They made $1,000 every 6 days during COVID in equity. That is what people make. That's not happening in the stock market. It's not happening anywhere else. And at some point, your child who likes to rent is going to do their taxes, and their accountant's going to tell them they have to buy something, right? So there's a lot of pain, and pain tends to lead to action, and that's how that works. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Anybody else questions, comments?
All right, we appreciate this very, very much. The hybrid thing turned out. We're gonna, you know, it was anyway. It all worked out. Deborah, thank you.
Yes.
And
Thank you, Darian and Kevin on Zoom here with us. Mario is there waving in the black shirt at me, and there's but thank you so much for all the value you bring to our market center and our agents. We are grateful for your support and guidance. Please, guys, reach out to them, that you can hear how comfortable they are to present and share with you. Julia's giving 2 thumbs up. So make certain that you do reach out to them and get that guidance and assistance, because we want to see each and every one of you in production.
you better believe it.
Thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
so much. And until next time,
See ya.
bye-bye.
Bye.